good morning, and welcome to the morning break on Breaking Times. My name is Ijoma Uba.
And I am Abbas Mohammed.
And I'm Mohammed Kadir.
Today we have a lot of exciting stories from politics to finance to entertainment and of course sports. But I'll take it to Mohammed, who will be, going letting us know what's happening really in the political scene today.
Thank you, Ijoma. Today I bring you exciting news going on in the political background, in the political institution, national and international level. Simon Ekpa, the Finnish court has sentenced Simon Ekpa to 6 years in jail with a charge of funding terrorism and extended to financial tax fraud. So I don't know, IG, what do you think about these charges that has been placed on Simon?
I mean, very interesting. I think when I saw the story, I was very, I said, okay, so it's a very good thing. But then he's been, like you said, 3 counts charged. There's aggravated tax fraud. There's terrorism and funding terrorist activities in the southeast. And then there is the violation of the Lawyers Act. He's been practicing in Finland without a proper license. So these are, the 3 charges that he's been booked for. Um, hmm. So the Terrorist Act, I mean, this is the one that concerns us really because it relates to activities here in Nigeria. And we know for the longest time he's been, agitating for Biafran, the Biafran separatist group, the IPOB. And not many people agreed with that. They said he bordered on terrorism. However, the Finnish court has now given and said, working with the Nigerian government, that this is indeed an act of terrorism. But we also know that Nnamdi Kanu was booked for a similar offense, and he's been in jail since the Buhari administration. Kanu is still undergoing trial. And for months, we're seeing this is a conclusive trial. Everything is done. He's been sentenced. So it's very interesting. It's really a comparison between our judicial system and the international judicial system, how other countries operate, and it's us placing our focus on the judiciary in Nigeria, especially in the wake of the 2027 elections, where already we know that people are going to be going to court and they're going to be demanding justice for people that feel like they are aggrieved or that their rights have been trampled on. So I don't know. It's really a comparison between our judicial system and the foreign judicial system. How swift, how precise justice was delivered, really.
Ahmed, on to you. Do you think it's justified the judgment that's carried upon that was placed upon him, or do you think he should be brought back to Nigeria for him to answer to his crimes?
Well, I think because they've done their investigation, it's not just on the accusation of the acts of terrorism that they are convicting him for, other crimes also, like the aggravated tax evasion. I think they've done what their law says there in the country, and see, he's a citizen there, so I believe they have done justice to that. And also, you also consider that our chief of defense staff came out, and he lauded Finland for this conviction of Samuel Ekpa, and that there's a war on terrorism here in Nigeria and internationally. There's a good diplomatic relation there, showing that yes, they are also helping us out there trying to curb terrorism down here in Nigeria. But then also you have to consider that if he was in Nigeria, like you mentioned that Nnamdi Kanu has been in jail and his case has not been concluded. For Simon Ekpa, not being a Nigerian citizen, even though his interest is here in Nigeria, being convicted over there in Finland, you have to also consider that they do not have, the repercussion might not be direct. In the case of Nnamdi Kanu, I believe if there's a swift or an abrupt court hearing and there's a conclusion on his case, there might be repercussions. The people of the IPO people are still there, and we're still seeing them being active. They are still a threat of sorts in their activities. So probably I think this is one of the things that delaying the judiciary here from going fully into convicting him, because there might be repercussions that will affect us directly. But in the case of Simon Ekpa, the IPO people cannot really point fingers within the country, because I believe the IPO people are active because they believe that there is no justice, they are not properly represented. This is part of the reasons why they are segregating themselves from the country. So I think Finland does not directly affect them, so they will not have a direct, response to them.
I'll say also response, like when you say extradite him, I don't think we're going to be seeing an extradition anytime because like I said, he's a Finnish citizen, and Finland will not send their citizen to Nigeria, knowing that this is how our judiciary system works, and that trial might not be fair or it might be elongated. So I don't think that this is really how the international community views us. I don't think they're going to be sending him down for any reason. So he's just going to serve his 6 years there, and probably wouldn't be allowed to hold any political position there, or of some sort. I think that's really it. Really.
So, if, to my understanding, I mean, the international system does not really have full trust on our judicial system.
Well, it's the perception. It's really the perception that international community has of Nigeria, that we're not swift to action, and it's not a false. It's not on a false premise, because, as we've said, the Owo massacre, the case is still ongoing 3 years after. Nnamdi Kanu, after how many years, still ongoing, and this is a swift, same case, same basis, and you see that this guy has gotten his judgment. He knows where he stands. And if you go to any Nigerian prison today, you're going to see a lot of people who are still there awaiting trial, 15 years, 20 years awaiting trial. And at the end of the day, even if they do go to trial, you find out that some of them, the sentences that they would have gotten, are less than the time they've already served waiting for trial. So it's really a call for us to review our judicial system, to put things in order and make sure that justice is seen to be served on time, not delayed, and it is fair.
I think this is a wake-up call for our judicial system to do better, not only us focusing on the executive and the legislative.
Yes.
I think the judicial system too can do better. I think there has been extra charges on him about him inciting the IPOB agitators to incite violence in the eastern part of the country, in the eastern part of Nigeria. So do you think that's another side effect, a negative side of social media?
I think yes. I mean, for one, I'm from the southeast, so this directly, and I've always argued against this. I'm from the southeast. I'm Igbo, but I do not believe in this movement or what it stands for. I do not endorse or encourage violence in any form. And severally, he has used his platform, his influence on social media, and called out for violence in the southeast, or things that are contrary to the laws on social media. And it's like you said, it's the negative side of social media. Yesterday we're talking about how social media has been used for the benefit of Nigerians, and then we see the dark side of social media, where some Nigerians are using social media negatively to cause unrest, or so many people have been killed because of one man's tweet. Do you understand? So I feel like these platforms have a responsibility on them, not to stifle free speech, but to ensure that they are, they have a structural framework really to guide how people communicate online. And I think they do that maybe just to be a little more stringent, so that people don't say things that incite violence or cause people to go out and harm other people.
Thank you for that idea. Moving forward, Benue State Governor swears in 17 commissioners, and he pledged to fight corruption. As we saw like, a few weeks ago, the Benue State Governor dissolved his cabinet in order for him to appoint some, and I think yesterday he swore 17 new commissioners. Do you think this is according to him, he said it's a mid-term review. Do you think this is political, or this is a performance-based appointment?
Well, I think this, regardless of whether it's political or it's performance based, I think the bottom line here is that there is actually a change. If it's political, I believe these people are not performing. So I think it still reflects on the performance level of what they are doing. If they are not going in line with the party's model, they are not going in line with the governor's agenda, it's for him to make this kind of review whereby he changes those in power. And I think if this is being done properly, in all parties, in all states, all governors, adopt the same model, I think we'll be seeing positive changes. Personally, I believe it's something that should be encouraged, whereby there's always a review, there's an assessment. The only thing we should be worried about is if these agendas or the agenda of the governor is a positive one, whereby if he's changing them and bringing on new people to, if his agenda is positive, then good and fine. Let us see more of these midterm reviews. But if it is not, representing the people well, it's something we could be worried about.
And he said this change, he wants to be committed to transparency. Does that mean the previous ones that he dissolved, there was an issue with them?
I completely agree with Mo here, because if you're changing to an extent, however, because like you said, is it performance based, or is it politically motivated? These are things that only the politicians that are directly involved have the answers to. However, if it is in fact performance based, it is laudable, it's a good thing, because every administration needs to review its cabinet, review the people, and if somebody is not living up to expectations, serving the people in the way that you expect them to, then a good leader, it falls on a good leader to cut them loose at some point, cut their losses, replace them, and make sure that there's effective representation and people are delivering on whatever it is that you've given them to do. But if you look at it on the other hand, right, when you have put somebody and you have brought somebody and says this person should come and serve, you appointed the person, and then 2 years on you're switching this person and bringing an entirely new person. Now there are certain things that you now want to look at. One, what informed the nomination and subsequent confirmation of this person and the appointment of this person? Did this person not have the capacity? Because I thought if you're going to appoint somebody to become a commissioner, there is a track record. This person has a certain track record that you, yeah. So what happened? On what basis were these people appointed in the first instance? In Benue, I think out of the 17, he inherited 9 or 8, and then appointed the remaining 9. So these are the issues. If you appointed or continued with people from the former administration, it means that they were doing something right and you wanted to continue with them. So what happened after 2 years? It now kind of looks like it's politically motivated. Maybe allegiances switched along the line or something happened. But moving forward, on what basis? On what? I know that it is the sole right of the governor to appoint who he wants as commissioner, but with advice. I mean, he has essays and all that, which are also his prerogative. But in appointing these people to serve the public, because these people are being paid with state funds, in appointing these people to serve the public, let's just not waste taxpayers' funds. Let's make sure that due diligence is carried out, that these people that you're appointing actually have the capacity to function in those roles that you're appointing them to.
But for a governor to dissolve a whole cabinet, does that mean, Mohammed, the whole cabinet are not capable for him to dissolve everybody?
Well, that also brings the question of the political interest. If it's actually based on performance, and it's debatable. But then hopefully, if the people of Benue are seeing changes and they are not complaining, I think it should be fine.
The governor further ordered for collaboration among the appointees, and he said he hoped for them to collaborate in order to bring development, to foster development in Benue State. Moving forward, I was seeing another same instance as this. The Niger State governor dissolves his whole cabinet in a surprising move too. So is this a trend?
I said it's like midterm break. So it's like a midterm review. After 2 years, everybody, okay, let's dissolve. I think with Benue, we saw the valedictorian of that class come out to give a speech and thanking the governor. I'm going to call him valedictorian because he came out to thank the governor for allowing themselves. And I was like, what is going on behalf of all of us that we appointed? Thank you for allowing us. And then we're seeing this in Niger. So I don't know if it is a trend, like you said, but I hope we don't see more of it. Unless,
well,
but we'll see. I mean, this is just like this. You said it's the midterm.
They are following the footsteps. So now we expect that hopefully, maybe you see another state taking the same footsteps.
Maybe by the time they are done with the 4 years, everybody would have gotten their own turn.
Because the Niger State governor said he did an assessment on his cabinet where he said some performed well and some did not meet expectations. But do you think, Mohammed, this is politically, as you said, is it politically motivated for others to come and enjoy the benefits? Since we understand it's a political environment. Do you think they want to reshuffle it for other loyalists to come and enjoy these benefits, or is it really a performance?
Well, that's also questionable. Let it not be that it's a national cake situation whereby, okay, these people have had their fair share, then they are moving on and then the next set are coming. But then also, since he mentioned that some people performed well, I think we should give them the benefit of a doubt that this is performance based. And it's actually good because rather than having people to serve a whole term, relax that, okay, this position is theirs until the end of their time. It's good for them to be on their toes. Performance based on, nobody is above that position. You don't just get there being appointed and then you relax that, okay, this is my person, so I don't really have to do anything. I can do whatever I want. But since they are saying that, okay, if a whole cabinet is being dissolved, you can see that yes, the governor is putting everyone on their toes. So whoever is coming in is having that in mind that okay, I'm coming in, I have to perform. You know, I have to perform, and if I'm performing, I'm going to stay. And if I'm not performing, there's a one-way ticket. The same way I came, I can be taken out. So yeah.
But then I feel like there's another side to all of this, because if you're going to be dissolving, I mean, is he when he reviewed Mohammed Bago, when he reviewed his cabinet and he said some performed well, others
Some
didn't.
didn't meet expectations.
Why dissolve all then? Why dissolve all? If some performed well, why? If something a system is working, why fix it? So these people are already doing well. You should replace the ones that are not doing well. Move on.
True.
I don't know why there's a need to dissolve the entire cabinet. Somehow it comes up as the governor trying to, you know, put out his own place of authority, that I'm the governor, I'm in charge, I can do whatever I want, and then this puts, like you said, it does two things. And the good side, like you said, is that it puts these people on their toes to want to deliver, to want to achieve something, to want to do better. However, on the other end, it makes these people conscious. It's at the back of their mind that the governor can take me out any day. And knowing that the governor can take you out at any time can make two things happen. It can either make people um, overly dependent on the governor, or turn to psychophants, as we've seen, that they will tell them when you go there, whatever they say, whether you understand or you don't
In case of
understand.
credit.
So people might just move towards that mindset and say whatever the governor wants we do, so that they don't change us. We'll tell him whatever he needs to hear. The answer, yes sir, yes sir. And everybody's just doing that. Again, some people might come in and knowing that I can be taken out at any day. Some people will start from day one to start clearing clearing all the funds, really, because they know that they're here for a short while, and in their mind they're like, let me take what I can whilst I can. So I think, rather than, it might be a good move to keep people on their toes, but rather than putting people in that position of being unsure of how long they are going to stay, and some changes take a while. Sometimes you need to stay there, fix the system. There's a lot of rot. You might need to clear out that old system, fix what is going on there before you now start seeing results. It's like plants, really. When you put it in the ground, you don't see anything. It takes a while to germinate and then grow. So at that germination stage, or that, what's still on the ground, a lot of people might not see results, and you might be taking out a good person too soon before the results start to show. So rather than this, another angle might be, how about we pick people that are qualified, that have a track record, proven track record, that can deliver, follow due diligence, so that when you put somebody, you're beating your chest and you're standing and saying, this person I put has the ability to deliver, the capacity to deliver. And if this person is not delivering without good reasons, then of course it's okay to take them out.
Mohammed, the governor retained the SSG, the chief of staff, and the deputy chief of staff. And looking back, he said some people performed exceptionally well, and some people they were not able to meet expectations. Then it raised the question: what if he appoints, in the place that he removed somebody that performed exceptionally well? What if he appoints somebody that cannot do as good as the person that was removed? Is that a good thing for Niger State?
No, I don't think so. Like IJ mentioned, if it's not broke, why try to fix it? So dissolving the whole cabinet is also, if you are saying there are some people who perform well, I think dissolving the cabinet is not the go-to option. Yeah, dissolve, relieve some people of their duties, those who did not perform well, and then leave those who are performing well to fulfill that. Just like Erifai mentioned, I think over the weekend, saying a president cannot fix the whole country within just 4 years. It takes a longer time. So I think that's applicable, that there's a proven time record or time period that you require in order to achieve all that you are meant to achieve. If you are doing well in a certain position, I think you should be left there until you have performed completely. Yeah.
The governor said in his statement, I appreciate them all for their contributions to this administration. They have collectively done well. Governor Bago said, expressing gratitude to the outgoing cabinet members of the service. Moving forward, former Rivers State Governor and FCT Minister Wike warns PDP against bringing Peter Obi back to the party. IG.
Okay, so there are so many sides to this story. First of all, I mean, he has said that if Peter Obi comes back, that there will be crisis within the state. So we can choose to look at the issues, or we can choose to look at the actors, the players.
Let's look at it both from all angles.
Okay, so I'll look at the actors, right? Peter Obi has moved from ABGA to PDP to Labour Party. He's been governor under one. He's been vice presidential candidate under one. He's been presidential candidate on. He's he's had the best of it. So very few people. Somebody like I know another person that has that kind of grace is Akpabio, governor under one, Senate president under the other. There are some people that are really enjoying the best of both worlds. But then, regardless of how we see Wike, regardless of his person or whatever, I feel like Wike has stayed in the party. And I know that there are so many arguments about it, but Wike has stayed in the party. There was a time that, during the 2023 election, there were a lot of fights, there were a lot of issues. A lot of people had issues with him because of the stance that he had taken. But he stayed in the party. He stayed, he was making his noise, he was fighting, but he remained in the party and he fought. Whether he stayed to destabilize the party is a different conversation altogether, because staying in the party and then working from inside and openly in anti-party activities is still another kind of worms altogether. But then it says more than someone who runs from one party to another. It is better if you stay for it. I don't know if it has really turned out well. If you look at some of the strongest politicians, one party, somebody like Asiwaju, stayed in ACN until ACN merged to become the APC as we know it today. So they don't have time to jump around. They stick to what they believe in. And for that, regardless of how we might view them, I respect that, that doggedness of staying and fighting through whatever it is. However, if we bring it down to the issues, Peter Obi returning to the party has different connotations now. Is he coming back to the party on what instance? You left this party. Wike was one of the people that frustrated Peter Obi out of the party. Let's not forget. And so it is not surprising that he'll be saying he should not come back. I cannot suffer and take you out of the party only for you to come back, and offering on a platter of gold. So people are coming out to say, Peter Obi, come back. Professor Jerry Gana said, come back, we'll give you ticket. So of course you can imagine that Wike will be very, very upset with that kind of stance.
That raises the question, Mohammed. We've seen the performance and we've seen what Peter Obi was able to do in the last general election. Does that mean Wike is scared of him coming back because of the crowd he's going to bring back? He's coming back to dominate since we've seen what he did. Or is it because of the crisis that you think is going to come? It's already happening within the party that Wike is rejecting him.
Well, I think despite the influence of Peter Obi, when he left PDP, went to Labour Party, and now with the rumors of him being ADC and his influence still moving around, I don't think it's about him bringing his influence back down or down to PDP that Wike is afraid of. I don't think Wike is afraid of that. I think it still has to do with the drama ongoing within the party. There's a lot going on, with the recent speculation of who is going to be the presidential candidate, and also the fact that what did they call it? The situation where they have now zoned
to the south.
Yeah, to the south. So you might speculate that it's possible that he doesn't want Obi back, because if he's coming back, he might be the only option or the best option for the party to push forward, seeing how his influence was really great during the last general elections in Labour Party, which was considered like a small party, and then PDP with its long history and track record. There's a possibility if resources are being put on Peter Obi while in the party, he might win, and then possibly the influence of Wike might shift. But then I feel like you mentioned, and like AJ mentioned, that Wike has been there from the beginning and he's stuck. He's not been one to leave the party and come back, even despite whether he's trying to stabilize or destabilize the party. He has stuck there. So even if Obi is coming, he's going to be presidential candidate and he's winning or anything, I don't think Wike's influence is going to shift. Although it's questionable, saying after all these statements, like saying Obi is not the one, and frustrating Obi to leave Peter Obi to leave the party, and then he comes back and he wins, it now questions the whole stance of Wike, how influential he is in the party. You might think that we don't really have to listen to him anymore. We already have someone who is standing in.
I think if the odds are right now falling Wike's favor, and yes, I think he might be a little threatened, because he felt like he had that influence in 2023 until Atiku took the ticket. I don't think he believed that Atiku would have taken the ticket from him. So he was a little shaken, was a little phased, very much dazed actually. And we saw the, I won't call it tantrums, the whole, drama that ensued after. And we see and so at this point in time, Wike should be very happy he's, Atiku is leaving to all intents and purposes to ADC. So it feels like, yes, once again, I have control of the party. I know that even with the convention that is coming up in November, he said there's no convention. Who told you there's going to be any convention? So he's happy with status quo, the way things are. And I'm not sure he wants things to change. And I think the least thing that he wants, the least change that he wants is a P2B back in the party. And like you said, if P2B does come back to the party, there is an actual chance that P2B might get the ticket, the presidential ticket. Whether the obedience will follow P2B back to PDP is a different story altogether, because if that raises a very, very fundamental questions. Are the obedience, these are the same crowds that have said PDP and APC are all the same. But they are obedient. So we see whether their loyalty to Peter Obi overrides their disdain for these two parties. That's one thing. So there's no gainsaying, or you can't take away the fact that a couple of people are going to drop. There are some people who hate these two parties more than they love P2B. And so you can imagine that a lot of his, a significant part is going to drop. If he goes back to PDP, they might see him as just another politician taking advantage of the youth and the movement. So that's one. Another thing is, if P2B does come back, let's not take it away, there will be a crisis in the party. Because there's already, it will deepen the crisis that already exists. Because P2B and Wike cannot coexist in the same clan without rifts. He has his own loyalists. He has his own people within the party, within the NEC, within the NWC, really. So if P2B is coming back, on the instance of certain members of the party, we are going to see two different factions of the party fighting. We've been seeing two different factions of the NWC already. So, I mean, it's going to just deepen that rift. So yes, if you look at the issues, there will be problem in in PDP if it does come back. Maybe we might finally see Mike choosing a party rather than one leg here, one leg there. I mean, maybe.
According to Minister Wike, he said he highlighted two reasons that he's not advising Obi to come back to the PDP. The first one, he said Obi already has a platform. He's a card-carrying member of the Labour Party, so there's no need for him to come back. And he already highlighted the internal crisis already in the PDP, telling Peter Obi when he comes back, that crisis is going to worsen. It will be more than this. That's all today for politics, and on to finance. I'll let Ijoma carry us along. Ijoma, on to.
Okay, so we have a lot of stories. We have just actually on finance today. Two very interesting stories. Union Bank is merging with Titan Trust, but it is a surprising twist of fate. It is Titan Trust that is basically acquiring Union Bank, and Titan Trust was set up in 2018. And obviously, Union Bank has been around for 108 years. That's a very long time. Over in 1917, I think. So that's a long time. It's over a decade of service and brand. And then in this new interesting twist of fate, Titan Trust has purchased it. So I'm looking at this trend. Smaller banks purchasing larger banks. I mean, we saw Standard Chartered purchasing UBA as well. At early days. I don't know. What do you think? Why do you think this is so? Why do you think? And we know that there are funds, right? So a little backstory. So Atlas Moro, which is the major shareholder in Union Bank, pulled out, and Titan Trust bought the shares. They were backed by FXM, which provided 300 million out of the 500 million required. They paid for, bought the shares, and then went on in late 2023 to acquire the remaining minor, shares in the company. So now they have 94% shares in Union Bank. That's a lot,
this
really.
No longer a merger. It's like
it's an acquisition,
takeover,
really.
yes.
But they are retaining Union Bank's brand name, because Union Bank has the brand. Not a lot of people know about Titan Trust. I mean, the much we know about Titan Trust was from the Bola Tinubu's era and the link to Godwin and NPFL. But right now, as earlier this year, Union Bank was delisted from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So their stocks were no longer there. Even their board was dissolved by the central bank. Now, I'm looking at a small bank, like small in quotes, a small bank like Titan Trust purchasing Union Bank. I mean?
Well, in comparison, Titan Bank in comparison to Union Bank will be considered small, given their history of over a century. It's really commendable. And then it still shows that, you could start today and be big tomorrow. It's really commendable. But then at the same time, I think one of the reasons why we're saying this today is because, when a bank, as large or an organization as big as Union Bank, is being merged or taken over by a considered small organization like this, I think it has to do with the bank having a lot of, like you mentioned, Atlas Holding pulled out, and then, Titan Bank was able to buy a lot of the shares. So I think the bigger an organization is, the more it has shares, and then it has key holders and stakeholders coming from different angles where their interests might change, and then they might lose their identity. But then it's still commendable that Titan Bank allows Union Bank to maintain their name, due to their brand identity
It's
and
a
all.
bigger brand.
Yeah, it's a bigger brand, so it's commendable on that. But then personally, I think it all has to do with how Union Bank played their cards. Maybe it's just their time, to step down and have someone take over their
I mean,
image
they're
and
going to have
everything.
a merged, one board right now operating, but every other thing stays the same. Customers still retain their account numbers. Obviously, so the banks will be branded. Titan Trust ceases to exist as we know it. It will just be Union Bank, really. But
Right?
the administration, the actual day-to-day running, I think now will be
Well, as long
essentially
as
Titan.
their operation still reflects quality services to their customer, I think it's still okay. We've seen similar to that. I remember, with Access and Diamond where they merged. I remember I was still in school then, and when that happened, I was really furious. I wasn't even a customer of either banks, but I just liked Diamond Bank so much, like the image and everything. And then, when they merged, all they did was, give them a little bit of courtesy. The Access logo now merged with Diamond. It was like a
To
whole
reflect the
design
new,
issue. Yeah, so I think it's also still commendable. Titan did similar to Union. So I think it's still okay, but I don't know what you think, Mohammed, about that.
I mean, I'll look at also the reasons behind this. I mean, we have the CBN's recapitalization policy that wants banks to basically raise more equity so that they can support the economy, and they have a deadline 2026, which is
Okay.
it's just around the corner. So a lot of banks are. We talked about the banks that we are like Wema Bank, that has met its we have GT Bank that if you GT Co put 238 million really in GT Bank, so that they meet with this new policy from CBN. And so we're going to be seeing a lot more measures, a lot more banks, small banks, big banks, everything just coming together to make sure that they move this and we have more stable banking. So it's better for us, as investors, as customers. So now with this merger between Titan Trust and Union Bank, I think they have met, they're going to meet that, and CBN has allowed it. But we know that there was a drama, a little drama. I don't know if you want to look at that. With when the private investigator that was hired by President Tinubu said that Titan Trust was using that Godwin Emefiele, the former CBN governor, was using proxies to purchase shares in to purchase shares, basically proxies in Titan Trust to purchase Union Bank. They're trying to acquire Union Bank, and they've all denied this. However, the current chairman of Titan Trust, is a former deputy governor of CBN. Do you think there is something here?
I think here it's a very complex something, because hearing this type of rumors will make somebody get surprised, like what's the bank doing? How can somebody use a proxy to get this property without proper investigation? Because you see there's a link between the government Emefiele and the former deputy CBN governor. Already that's a link since they've worked together. But if it's true, since it's a rumor.
No, but they've all denied it, really.
To the whole rumor.
Yes,
So I
there's
think,
something
I
denied.
think
But the CBN has okayed the measure to take place anyway. Well, for customers, I mean, people who are invested, people like us who have invested in Union Bank, we're very enthusiastic about this, and we're happy about this measure. We're hoping to see that the stock rises and that investors, start to reap their return.
I hope they tend to render good services, better services.
Well, that's what we hope for, because Titan Trust is more of a digital bank, it's a fast bank. So I think we'll see more digitalized services from Union Bank now. It's a new Union Bank, everybody. Because we used to know it as an old people's bank.
That's even what we believe till today, that
Yeah.
it's only old people.
No.
You using a teenager, you using Union Bank. Mostly it's the pensioner.
We're hoping to see a new Union Bank really moving on. So our next story is on the Security Exchange Commission. SEC is unveiling its new platform, new website, where it's hoping to crack down on Ponzi schemes. I'll start with you because Nigerians are known to invest money. I mean, from MMM to Obayoza, quick money. We like quick money, and we've not sometimes people rely on hearsay. Even influencers, I forgot, there was one of them, I can't remember which right now,
Rack Sterling.
that had the
With
influencers.
Davido.
No, it wasn't just in the video. There was, there were influencers, a lot of people on board, and somehow we've equated influencers to endorsement. So if influencers are doing this, it must be legitimate. It must be, and then people put their money, millions of naira and hundreds of millions, and all of a sudden one day
Crashes.
everything's gone. So it's good that the Security Exchange Commission is coming up and putting this in place so that people have a verifiable source. So if you want to invest, you have somewhere to go to invest and say, okay, is this listed? Is it verified? Is it insured? So if I'm not going to lose my money, do you think this is enough to curb, these schemes really? Or do you think Nigerians will still go outside this?
From my own opinion, I think Nigerians, it might reduce it, but I don't think it might. It's a probability, but I don't think it will cut it off totally, because Nigerians, they are very, like I said, they are very fond of wanting very quick money, money that they are not going to work for. So I think this website, my only problem is this website going to be maintained?
Mhm.
Will they be able to curb this thing before it happens, or is it until after they scam the people, like we saw of Rackstelli and the last one we saw of recent? Is it until people report this scam that the SEC are going to take action, or are they going to make their investigations and know the basis, the genesis of this, the whole content, the whole concept of the investment before they allow Nigerians to put their money?
Okay, so I think if I understand, it's a requirement really. We have to have some sort of level of requirement that SEC has to put out there as the regulatory body. So if you're going to start an investment platform or put out your business or whatever, have it registered and make sure that the SEC is aware and you have approval. Same way EFCC has, I think, this common. So
we should also have a deposit in case it crashes, to fund other
Sure.
people to pay them back.
Yeah, and
I mean, another thing. Now I would even like to come to you because you said something about maintenance. When you're talking about maintenance, because I've gone on the site personally, I see that there's a place for you to report. If you have any platform where you invested and it's fraudulent, you can report it. What if, like you said, maintenance? What if there's nobody back end to maintain this? What if nobody is taking this report, these feedbacks, and nothing is done, and people are still being defrauded? Is this enough for people to report? Is it enough to curb this really?
well, I think like Mo mentioned, saying there should be like a deposit, from this company, whoever is registering, there should be a requirement that if it should crash, because whenever this kind of schemes come onto play, whenever it's public, people just believe it's true because they believe, okay, if it's public, there is a backing, probably from SEC and the local the legal authorities, that okay, we can invest in this because it's public, it's not shady, it's not hidden. So maintaining the site is very important, because Nigerians cannot have a situation whereby now a Ponzi scheme might come, with all these regulations and all these innovations, like this website that was created by SEC. It will be very poor on them that a Ponzi scheme will come and it will thrive and then it will crash again, because now there will be no hope, in this SEC. Because just recently when CBEX crashed, the Security Commission came, and there was an investigation and all, and some perpetrators were caught, even though the monies of these people who invested was never recovered. Yeah, but then now that we're seeing this website, it means that there's a move, there's a positive move. So if people are being reliant and on saying, since Security Commission said this, we are going to go for it. But then if they should go for and there's a crash, then who are they to trust?
Yes.
Yeah, so true.
But I agree with you. I mean, this is a very great move by SEC. Where basically it's very great that they're doing this, because a lot of people had ceased to invest following all of this. So people don't want to hear anything investment these days because of these issues. Yeah. We've lost billions of naira to Ponzi schemes. So it's good that SEC is doing this so that it builds investor confidence. People can now invest more confidently knowing that their money is secure. So kudos to SEC, kudos to, of course, the Finance Minister, Wale Edun. This is really great, and we are hoping to see more of this kind of incentives, more of this kind of developments to encourage investors to put money, because investment is really the future. Sure. Then moving away from finance, we move to entertainment. I heard there's a lot of there's a lot going on the entertainment, but I would like Ibuku is here. She's going to tell us about everything that's happening on the entertainment today.
Okay, good morning, IJ.
Good morning.
Mo. We have a series of incidences, some rather unfortunate and some rather interesting, on entertainment today. We have starting with Kwan 3. There's been this ongoing, discussion and conversation about Kwan 1, Kwan 2. So now we have Kwan 3 and said a passenger dragged off Enugu air flight sparks new airline drama. So we got a video footage yesterday, of yeah, you can play that on the screen. We have a video footage of a man being dragged off the plane, with airline security, and certain passengers were making certain comments. A particular, question in my head, what's with this trend, with airline security or with passenger misbehavior? What really is it?
I think this is a season movie that we are watching, and this is this is another very interesting series. Okay, so the interesting thing is that there's a drama with Enugu Airline anyway, but outside that, I'm Igbo, so I can I heard everything that was being said. They basically said they said I was hearing the other passenger. I saw him when he was trying to get out, and the person right in front just
I
took
saw
his
that
hands
too.
off, and they said this person is a mad person. So I don't know what to do, but what to do no good because everybody was apparently complaining about what he had done. I don't know. At least I like the fact that there was no air hostess involved in this one. There was no air hostess. The security came and they whisked him. Nigerians are very funny. Nigerians said they whisked him like egg. They whisked him off. So it was very interesting to see. I mean, we don't know what the story is, but I like that at least it didn't degenerate. It was from what we see. I mean, we're still waiting for the full story, but from what we see, it was airline security promptly stepping up, taking somebody that was obviously being a nuisance and causing problems. I don't know why there's a surge in this these days, but I think they should airline securities. If people are watching, you need to start employing bouncers for your security because I don't understand why it took 5 people to whisk out to
Just
take
one
out
man.
one man. So you need to employ hefty men so that when two come in like this and they say, okay, these are our rules. Sit down, put your seatbelt. Everyone will pass in their seatbelt. So now we like pretty faces when we enter airlines, pretty hostesses. We also need bouncer. We need very strong men as air hosts. What's that? Air hosts.
Hosts.
We need air hosts.
and
We need
hostess.
very strong men. So when they come and they say, put your seatbelt. No,
You will
you
listen.
put your seatbelt immediately. I think that's what we need to see.
Yeah, it's
But wait, there's so many sides, to this whole story. We are saying, you took the stance of, the airline security and all, but it's funny, I see a sense of unprofessionalism. Couldn't the guy have had, the opportunity of coming down, from the plane?
He did not look like he was about to come down.
Really, was he going to I don't see anything strapped on him. Didn't have any bomb strapped on him. If he didn't have any bomb, I see no reason, for that, aggravated or do you understand? I really felt like there should be due process. We don't see. I don't think I've seen this kind of incidents play out in
An actual flight, yes.
in an actual flight. In fact, in foreign countries, basically, what I actually get to see, and also in other instances, is they get to come down. They don't even get to know that okay, there's anything until they are accosted when they are trying to check out.
Well, another angle you have to consider, Barry, is that apart from the fact that we have all these air hosts and air hostesses, they go undergo training. They have a school where they pay money. They are certified, and it's really rigorous before they allow them, onto flights, and then they handle people. But at the same time, we ever considered that we do not train people to be passengers in an aeroplane. We don't train
Our
people.
president said Nigerians are non-compliant.
So you can see this is just an example, coming from Kwam 1, this is the fault of the passenger. Kwam 2, they say, it's still ongoing, the fault of the passenger, fault of the air hostess, unprofessional handling. But at the same time, what we mentioned, we should have people should not be threatened before they should comply. Having a bouncer on the plane before you put on your seatbelt, switch off your phone, it's not something we should have to fall back to. We're civilized, we're citizens of the country. And it's also, mentioning the fact where you say you don't see that in foreign countries. Actually, I believe things like that do still happen, because you can never predict the passenger. We have a lot of passengers in every flight. Everybody's coming with a different mood, a different background, a different issue.
Sorry to cut you on that. Everyone coming, but we're talking about passenger rights as well. We're talking about this person is
what about
to,
regulation?
and dignity and everything, and there are also passenger rights as well. So doesn't this form of it's more like a bond.
I want to say something. I want to say something, right? I feel like airlines have their rules and they have their regulations, and Nigerians can be non-compliant. It's not the first time that we've entered and you tell a Nigerian, queue. Nigerians will not queue.
No,
we cannot compare Nigerians to outside, to the foreign countries. Queue. We will not queue. You come in, they say this is the way to do things. Let's do it. Nigerians will not do things as stipulated. When you tell a Nigerian that this is our airline, and forget, we don't read privacy terms and conditions. We don't read it. The only terms and conditions we know in this country is terms.
And I believe why their laws are strict, because flights cannot just take off without necessarily. If one person is faulty of something, it delays the whole flight. So in a situation whereby you're telling someone to come up or something, he's refusing to come down, it's affecting the whole passengers in the plane. Because like IJ mentioned in the video, as they were at the entrance, someone immediately pushed his hand because he was grabbing onto the entrance, and someone pushed his hand. So you can imagine how annoyed the other passengers were.
But if you heard, like I said, I can hear what they're saying. So I don't know the full story, but everybody was obviously upset with him. Nobody was even talking about the security. We were talking about him, how he was a nonsense person, basically.
And this security person are not even applying.
If these airlines have their rules, they have their regulations, and people refuse to comply, that is why the security is there. My only aggravation in this video is that there are 4 or 5 people carrying one man. Maybe find one hefty man like VDM. Find like 2 people.
Instead of having hefty men, why not we introduce tasers? Probably a little shock on the body would make him to comply. No, it's not a matter of extreme. Instead of hiring people who are looking like thugs, you have to have a friendly face on the flight. You have to treat your passengers right. Having someone like probably Kiss Daniels bouncer telling you to put on your seatbelt, I think you might even piss your pants because you are so worried about who the person is. But then if you are scared of what the shock might do to you, I don't know what the
I think another thing is I believe that all these airlines have social media platforms. They have websites where people book. It is not beyond the people to put a short video on your platform that says that this is our regulation. Put it as a video. Make it fun.
Yeah, true.
Make
interactive.
It fun. Let people know what they should do, what they are not allowed to do, and what the consequences of not doing these things are, or what the consequences of doing these things are. For example, if you're going to sit at emergency exit, there's a protocol. There is a standard protocol. If not, you cannot sit at those emergency exits. You have to pay attention. You have to understand what is being said. So you have to understand that as you're booking your flight, you're booking your seat, you know that you're already at the exit. So when they are telling you, you knew when you were booking, that's it. So you have to pay attention.
True.
It falls on you. The safety of other passengers also is on you. So it's very, very important that people conduct themselves appropriately. And the airline too, try and help us. As Nigerians don't know how to read, make it interactive, put out videos, put out information there. Like people know that these are the consequences for this. So as you're booking, you know that you're booking with your full chest, that if you do anyhow, you will see anyhow.
True.
That's it.
Before I move to the next story, there's, you made mention of, Nigerians being, unruly sometimes and everything. And you see Nigerians in other countries, they are well behaved. Better behaved than in the country. So is it the whole Nigeria weather? They just enter the Nigeria airspace, and then they just have the feeling that they can just do anyhow. And we won't find even white men too
doing anyhow here. It's a working system, because over there's a consequence, an action reaction system. There's a consequence for every action that and it works. If you do this is the result, and it will happen. It will happen. In Nigeria, we can't say the same, because people do things. I mean, we're talking about it on the political segment where we said people do stuffs and then trial ongoing, and then tomorrow the person is let go. If people face the consequences of their actions squarely, fairly, immediately, people will not be doing rubbish. I think very soon, right, with Quam 1, Quam 2, Quam 3, the good thing that we've gotten is that people will start learning to behave themselves on flights.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
When you pay 200,000 and you cannot fly, maybe you, and then they ban you, you go by road, maybe encounter small banditry, maybe
You appreciate
maybe
it
you're happy,
more.
yeah, maybe you behave yourself.
True.
Let's not even go there. So moving on to our next story, speaking of doing anyhow and seeing anyhow, we had a videographer who did anyhow and saw anyhow. Asake kicked videographer off the stage. He said during a performance in Washington D.C. at the Afro festival, Nigerian singer Asake physically pulled a videographer off the stage, and the moment was captured, in a viral video, and it went viral. So what do you have to say about that? The whole what is the stage etiquette? I thought there's usually stage etiquette. When you're videoing, he was performing. For Christ's sake, he was performing, and the camera in his old cameraman in his whole zealousness was trying to put it in his face, moving here and here, and it's affecting his whole performance. What do you have to say about that? No, wait, calm down. The violence is real. I know you have a lot. Mohammed, what do you have to say
Well,
about
I
it?
think before shows are being conducted, there's a rehearsal. There's a rehearsal. It's as simple as that. So Ashake's actions, to me are justified because there's
Yeah.
rehearsals. There are places where you have to step. There's markings where you don't have to go above because we've seen situations whereby artists fall off stage because they are forgetting their marks and stuff. So I think this is something that has been properly orchestrated. Where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to do. So him pulling him out, I think it has even helped both him as an artist and also the videographer from probably maybe being in harm's way and stuff like that. I understand if with videographers, enthusiasm, trying to capture, those who are not there for the concert, they'll be able to see it probably on YouTube, on Instagram. It's good, it's commendable, but then at the same time, you have to be professional about this. Like you mentioned, there are etiquettes you have to follow. You have to stick to it. You don't have to go above the line. And as I kept pulling him out, he has to entertain tickets. I'm not paying tickets to come and see your videographer obstructing me. We're having Asake on stage live. We're having his performance also behind him, and we're about to see an outstanding performance, and then I'm seeing your videographer. It's not making sense.
AJ, please land with the violence.
It's not that I mean, he has said mostly everything there is to say. But these are two creatives on stage, and they cannot be two captains on one ship. Yes, you're a creative, person. You're trying to capture this, and his content. From what I gather, it's his personal videographer. So this person should know better. He should know what the dynamics on stage is. He should know how this is how my yoga moves. Yeah, right? This is how this person moves. So you know how to move around it, and then you cannot be so caught up in shooting, capturing, that you are not conscious of the fact that this. I am sure maybe they don't cut eye like 2 times, 3 times. He did not get the signal. You can know how pushed he was to have physically moved him.
True.
Yeah.
He might have given him a signal once, twice, and he's in the middle of a performance. People, like you said, people paid. I did not pay to see videographer. The people that did not pay, they will be all right. I paid, came there to watch you. Don't be blocking the artist. So I mean, it's very, very funny. That's one. That's this thing happened, and this guy was all over him, in his face. Oga, shift. You're doing too much. Shift.
Yes.
The shot to be nice.
Relax.
Get what you need to get.
Maybe if it was Pokoli, he would have taken it serious. By the time he gives him big body now on that
And
stage
he
and he
falls
falls
off.
off, he will understand.
But
So,
then why was there not a bouncer? Somebody
Yeah.
stand by. It's the fact that nobody noticed that, because this is what these people are for. Nobody noticed that he was in distress. He needed this person off. Somebody was supposed to have been there,
True,
a
because they
bouncer, because someone to
communicate.
prevent, basically manage the set for him. There should be somebody there.
He's very lucky it wasn't born out.
No, mine is they have to also
Giving
protect
his
these
record.
artists now,
Yeah.
because the reason they are doing this now is Asake. If it was a bouncer, it would have been easier. But Asake has done it himself. He didn't have to do it himself. He didn't have to put him out in a bad light like that, because somebody had to. All he had to do was show up and focus on his performance. You're supposed to make his.
And slap him lawsuits now, like they slapped Cardi B $24 million lawsuit for getting hands
They will call it now physical.
My
Yeah.
guy, next time buy a zoom lens. Stay away from
Far
it.
away.
Well,
Buy a zoom lens and zoom in.
if you're watching this, listen to IG, buy a Zoom lens. So moving on to our next story. It's a quite scary, funny thing that actually happened. So DJ Kepi shares humorous email from her dad. She got an email from her dad, stating that send me 5 BTC. Like, it sounded like it's giving Yahoo boy vibes. Send me and she found it quite hilarious, and thought to, we share it on social media. What do you think about it?
Nigerians are creative, go. Nigerians are very creative. Like, I mean, we've seen this with the I'm a prince from Africa, and he said,
Yes.
but to go and send an email to DJ Copy and say, I'm your
Yeah.
dad. The email was very funny. It was, hello, daughter. I'm like, who does that? For you to create this mail and send to her and say, your father, send me 5 bits. Like she doesn't have his cell.
Nah, he
Like
will
she
call.
doesn't see him. Doesn't communicate with her dad. Like, it's the creativity for me. Like, she will wake up and say, okay, daddy, 5 BTC.
And
And she
send-
said, Nigerians are very creative. David Sek should also look at this angle too, because
Yeah,
I
truly.
did not ask for one. It's 5 BTC. Do you know how much that is?
Like
That's
103,100 pounds.
I think one
I mean,
BTC
euros,
right now.
sorry.
One BTC now is like 177 million.
Yes.
So five. My guy. My guy. That's Yahoo Yahoo. It's really, this is Yahoo Yahoo. This is the way the Yahoo Yahoo
It's
started.
giving a lot of fraud. And what do you have?
And this is very funny that he even used an email, something that is probably considered outdated, because before where we used
And they don't text or phone, they don't call.
exactly. So like, what was he thinking? I know, like you mentioned, the security executive should also consider things like this. It's just like, how Spotify is now bringing a DM feature, whereby you can DM an artist or whoever is a handler of an account, and you can DM directly. And these were the issues. I believe it trended about last week, where people were saying, dear Spotify, they were tagging Spotify. Influencers were like, dear Spotify, update boys will use this wrongly and this and that. And if you can imagine, if someone will have the guts to send an email impersonating her father, someone like Jacob's father, imagine what they can do if they have direct access to their DM on Spotify. What kind of outrageous messages they might be getting
That
from
picture
there.
is not for us.
Perhaps someone might message and say, I'm your future child and I need money, I'm your neighbor baby. Because why are you impersonating someone's father of this point and of this caliber? You know that she is a public figure and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Like, she's not in contact with him.
Exactly. Like, maybe probably are estranged or something. So it's something they should consider. They have to do a redo and think about. People should really stay away from fraud, And this is just showing you're not just going to fraud, but at the same time, you're not even smart enough to be in fraud.
Maybe this was coming because I don't think, I cannot believe this person was being serious at this point.
Honestly.
It's how the person got her email address. Wow.
To do that.
I don't think it may have been
It's
hacked.
an official mail. I think it was her official mail because she blocked but the ending showed that this was her official mail.
Yeah.
And
That's scary.
Why?
That's scary.
I think she found it quite hilarious because she also tagged her father. Come and see what's going on.
See where you're asking me for 5 BTC.
Asking me for 5 BTC. Just in the same light, we have Tiwa Savage also in the music space. Her album is out.
Oh wow.
Her album is out. It's personal.
It was really personal. I mean, I listened to it this morning. It dropped today. I listened to it this morning. I don't know. I think I was expecting. But I was seeing Kai David. So I like Angel. I think Angel's Dust, by the way. I think that's been my favorite so far. But I'm not very. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need to listen again. It wasn't very.
Well, I think she said the music is for her now. So
maybe it's for her.
Yeah, she's
It's okay.
going into what she loves. She
It's
said she has
okay.
been in the industry.
She'll
for
find
long.
her crowd.
Sure.
Well, I think she has actually it's everybody has their own crowd.
I'm not sure it's my crowd.
And she minimalized her features in her album. She just featured few artists.
The vocals, however, are spot on.
Taves. Taves has been buzzing really since he came out. And I really like the whole vibe and touch that Taves gives. It's just me. Let me not hype him more than is necessary, but I actually do like that whole vibe. it's something that we should check out. You know, she said she has dropped that album.
I checked out.
If it is your taste, you know, taste, it may
I
be
did not
your
see. I said some. They did not. I was expecting to see Savage. I was seeing Tiwa.
Okay.
That's what happened.
Okay.
Well, some might actually just be looking for Tiwa.
I'm
Tiwa,
not
you know,
savage.
no, I'm hoping the person has a private jet, a yacht, what else? Some other things.
That's interesting. Okay, so moving on to our last story for today. I hate that I had to deliver this story, but like, yeah, it's quite depressing. So we're ending on a depressing note. We have the issue of Skitmaker, Mr. Sanku, dying in an auto crash. So according to reports, well-known TikToker Mr. Sanku tragically passed away in a vehicle accident in Oyo, Obumoshore Road near Ibadan. Eyewitnesses say that the vehicle carrying 5 people veered off and fled. Then Mr. Sanku died instantly, while others, including the creator of Wike, were injured. So before this particular incident, you know, we had a video go out like a week ago where he almost got involved in an accident. He narrowly escaped an accident, and now him being involved in this accident. You know, what are the issues? You know, why I heard that he was speeding, you know, and while he got so what's with youth these days, you know, and speeding on the high this was a highway and everything. Once with youth and speeding and everything, if you drive slow, is it that you will not reach destination, or
They're
you
living
understand,
on the
or
fast
to
lane.
test the engine of your vehicle? Like, what's really it? Because you know, someone came out, you know, some of the Twitter users came out and, you know, said maybe they should ban this particular car because when citizens use this particular car, they get involved in accidents more. So
Why use
really,
fast cars on certain? I think it's
is
very
it the
sad.
craze? Is it
It's.
the craze for moving with high speed or what?
I think there's a place and there's a time. Number one, you're not supposed to be moving, you know, fast cars or at a certain speed range or on certain roads at certain times. It just doesn't make any sense. But sometimes people feel like we want to live a little. I think it's that YOLO mentality, like, ooh, I want to live. I want to drive fast cars. And you know, a lot of artists sing about these things. And the
What is Coca free by? I need to know yourself. I need to call
buying these fast cars. I think buying certain cars. Somebody that is
This guy never died like this.
truck to drive where?
Like which road?
To drive where? To drive.
Very
Do you understand? So I
unnecessary.
see certain cars in Nigeria. You're buying a Ferrari to drive inside Lagos hold up.
No, no.
Why? So I think we're so in love with the idea of certain things, and it's very sad, but because this has happened to this guy. Some people say it's village people because he just narrowly escaped one and then this one. But it's really sad that, you know, another creative person, young talent lost for, and it could easily have been averted. Over speeding kills, the road safety should do more to make sure that people are abiding by rules and regulations. Put speed limits on road. Make sure that people are not speeding or driving at 120 where they're supposed to be driving on a 40, on a 50. Because yes, he lost his life, but there are also other people at risk. Some people were involved, other people were involved. There's some, not just the drivers lose their lives. Other people are also at risk. So let's take even the people that are not even in the vehicle. He could have veered off, he could have hit a child. So many things could have gone wrong. So it's very important, and it's sad. I mean, I don't know.
It's a life
It's
that did not need to go like
didn't
this
need to go,
right
and
now.
let's make sure that we preserve other lives, that other people don't have to die so needlessly, so mindlessly. The good thing is his legacy is there. He has his videos out there. He made a lot of people laugh while he was living,
Yeah.
and you know.
Okay,
All right.
But
I want to
first-
ask, no, basically, okay, maybe you might answer afterwards. I want to ask this particular question, you know, what's really is, are Nigerians quite, you know, conversant with, you know, the climate in respect to being on the road, you know, because this is the rainy season, and it was said that he slipped from the road, so he was pulling off a speed, you know, on the highway. Yes, you're allowed to go at a certain speed and everything on the highway, but taking into cognizance, you know, the topology
Environmental
and the environmental
changes.
changes. Like, do you understand? Because I remember that 2 days ago, was it 2 days ago or last week? Basically, on last week, I was in the car and our driver had to slow down because it was raining quite heavily. And while we were passing, we saw a car had already
Very off.
veered into the gutters because the person was trying to speed. Like these are the issues. First off, if you know you can't, the people, like my mom doesn't drive when it's raining. She does not drive at night. Like why can't people, like, don't you think that people should be honest with themselves first? Looking at the environmental factors. What you can't do, leave it. Do you understand? And like it's beyond your capacity to do. And then taking into cognizance, the
Weather.
the weather as well. So what do you have to say about it? Should there be awareness of citizens? Because everybody wants to, feel among, okay, let not be that I cannot drive car and everything. Let everybody know that I've arrived. Let me be driving and everything. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I think the awareness doesn't go beyond the fact that we issue driver's license, and before you get a license, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to undergo a series of tests before you're qualified to own a license and be roadworthy. But then we'll see a situation whereby once someone knows how to drive, most likely not from a driving school, they just maybe their parents, their elder brother teaches them to drive, and then they start driving and they feel okay, it's not really that difficult. It's not just to start the car, press the throttle, and then you're moving, especially with automatic cars, and then you're already moving on the road. But then we also forget the fact that there are certain things you have to consider. Speed limits. This one now is no longer a situation of good roads, bad roads, or someone driving into. This was an action of it. Sadly, he has lost his life. But then we should also use this to self-reflect that this is an issue that when you're speeding, there's an actual research that shows that someone who speeds and someone who drives on a normal pace, the difference, in their arrival time doesn't go beyond seconds or a minute or two at tops. Because if the road is free, you're speeding, he's not speeding, you're getting there. If you look at how a car moves fast, it's just like a few seconds. So the arrival time is not really much. So trying to be as fast also on the road when you're not into Formula One racing or whatnot,
Need for speed.
Yeah, exactly. So you shouldn't try to start practicing things like, yeah, I know a stuntsman. You're driving on the road, you're trying to move from point A to point B. Don't, try to rush that and then you never get to point B in a situation. So, we're sorry he's lost his life.
I would also like to, from where you said something about the roadworthiness. I know the issues associated with roadworthiness, but you said roadworthiness and license. And I think that's a problem. That's part of where the problem is, because if you're issuing a license that says this person can drive, like Ibuko has said, if you're issuing a license that says this person can drive, under what conditions, right? Because most times when they're testing you for driving, you go to driving school in the daytime. For the people who actually go to driving schools, you drive in the daytime in these driving schools. You test maybe if you are learning in January, you're learning throughout January. Like you're not coming in December to drive, so you're learning throughout maybe a dry season in the daytime, and then you do your testing, you get your license, and then all of a sudden you take that car with your license and you enter the road one day to drive at night, and oncoming vehicle on not on dual carriageways, you're single lane, and a vehicle is coming at you, headlights are on, the light is entering your eyes, it dazes you for a moment. I found it because I know you find it very difficult immediately to navigate. So when she says her mom can't drive at night, I completely understand, because it's a different scenario altogether. But this person already has a license that was issued before the issuing body, Road Safety, VIO and Co. Before they understood that this person cannot actually drive at night. Or when it's raining, you see some people slow down, they turn on their blinkers, do you have your wipers? Because there's a lot. Sometimes it's so foggy you can't even see. So these are all the things I feel like have to be taken into consideration before somebody is issued a license. If this person hasn't passed, let it be indicated on the license. If they scan it, by the time they scan it, they can see that, okay, yes, this license has so test to complete, driving in the night test to complete, driving in rain to complete. So when they see you, they know, okay, have you completed this? Before you can get, how in banks, they have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 ahead. So we should have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 licenses till. So when you see it, this person cannot drive at night. So if I see with your license in the night and I know you cannot drive at night, you should have, you should pass all of this.
True. And, rest in peace to Mr. Sanku, and we hope that this will be a lesson, to others to try to be more cautious when being on the road. I think that's all we have on sports today, and now we're moving on to our final segment for today, and Mohammed is here back with us again. Well, the transfer window of the EPL has closed. Let's move straightly into the headlines. And something very, record-breaking happened within that small window, within that closed small window. In the history of Britain, Alexander Isak made a sensational 125 million pound move to Liverpool from Newcastle. Actually, it's actually rounded up to 130 million, including add-ons. And this is really, shocking, considering how there was a lot of transfers between the summer break and then now within this small final window, we're hearing a whooping 125 million pound deal move from Alexander Isak. So what do you think might have motivated Liverpool to make this move?
Alexander Isak, the man of different chaos, because the whole stuff that happened between Liverpool and Newcastle because of the transfer of Alexander Isak. I think Newcastle were not willing to let him go, and he was insisting on him like he wants to go, because this is the most expensive.
Yes,
record-breaking transfer we've ever seen. I think we've seen the one with Leverkusen player, what's his name, Witz, but I think this is a very different something, and I think Liverpool have gone beyond our expectation, because I think they're ready to compete again. They want to defend the title.
Sure.
With the players they've signed. I think 4 to 5 good players. So I think this is going to be a very wonderful season to watch, with Liverpool really ready to defend their title.
Well, hopefully he fills in that shoe, because I believe they said he's taking the number 9, previously owned by the likes of Fernando Torres, Robbie Fowler. So he actually has big shoes to fill, not just the big money into his account, but also at the same time big shoes to fill. So yeah, hopefully.
I don't know whether they are whether they are going behind, going past the Salah era.
Probably. Possibly with that amount of money spent on that investment.
That's a lot.
Well, we'll see how far they can go and how strong, yeah. And then moving on to the Nigerian scene, the NPFL is set to partner with NTA for games coverage after their deal collapsed with Startimes due to lack of purchase. In a situation like this, where a private organization partners with another governing body, profits is the main picture, is the end goal. And sometimes they were hoping on increasing their sales and their decoder, since we've been pushing for people to patronize or view our own local game, local sports. It's not every time EPL but the NPFL, because we're still, the EPL is also gaining players from here. They're coming here signing players for outrageous amount of money. So if we can watch them over there, why can't we watch them over here? So unfortunately the deal collapsed with Startimes, and NPFL is now making a move to partner with NTA, and I think it is really encouraged, because NPFL is a Nigerian league, and partnering with NTA might be commendable. But then I don't know, what is your opinion?
My opinion?
Yes, I would like to hear your
I
opinion.
think it's a great move for visibility, but NTA, really? I mean, we want HD. We don't want to be watching.
True. Yeah.
So NTA's visuals have been under scrutiny for a long time, and it's very interesting because NTA has a lot of federal government funding. They have one of the most funding for any broadcast TV in the entire country. A lot of funding goes to NTA. Anybody that knows. So we expect better from NTA. So if this is happening, maybe it's profit, obviously. Maybe it's going to boost. Maybe we're going to see things rejig in NTA. But I don't want to. It's good. These are 2 local, stations, Nigerian owned, so it's fine. It's a Nigerian owned football league, Nigerian owned TV.
Sure.
Let's see what gives, and hopefully, when they are going to go and cover these matches, we are begging them, they should invest in high quality cameras, because Nigerians want to watch great sports.
They have that stereotype.
Yes, let's not have Panasonic. No offense to Panasonic, but let's not have cameras from a certain age in 2025.
Sure.
Let's have great cameras, great visuals. I think Nigerians, maybe this might be a turning point for NTA as well.
Oh, what do you think, Mohammed? Is it something you will definitely switch on your TV every game day and say, okay, I want to watch this?
We've seen this stereotype that goes on, and it's a realistic something. We've seen how NTA, how bad their
feeds are,
their camera quality. I think they are still living in the 60s or 70s. So I think this is a wake-up call for them to do better, because this is a duty that has been entrusted to them to carry on, and I hope they'll be able to deliver, because I hope they don't disappoint Nigerians.
All right. Well, hopefully NTA, you're listening, you're watching. We are expecting, great coverage so that our own people can tune in to the NPFL, and enjoy the sport as it has been intended. Moving on, to the Formula One scene. Lewis Hamilton is having a nightmare in the course of chasing his dream. Earlier this year, I think late last year, he made a public statement saying he's moving from Mercedes, where he has been 7-time F1 champion, and he's moving to his dream company Ferrari, where he said he has always dreamed about, he has always fantasized about as a kid, and this is like a dream come true to him. But then, throughout the start of the season and presently, he has not been showing good signs, and in his races. Instead, his partner in Ferrari, because Formula One has two racers, so his partner has been dominating the scene. Whereby we do not know Lewis Hamilton for being behind the scenes. He was always the face or the front of whichever car is driving. And in the Mercedes, he was dominating. So but there's also this drama. This report actually came in after he crashed his car, which I don't think has been really reported with Mercedes. This is actually a new thing for him. His car crashed and he had to be taken out of the race entirely. Yeah. But then there's also, these rumors, there's also speculations whereby they said there's an internal drama going on in Ferrari. Apparently, about 90% of Ferrari does not want Lewis Hamilton, but he wanted to be there. And, we've had former Ferrari racer Arturo Merzario saying it was actually a commercial move, that it was not really about the racing, it was not really about performance. It was just, Lewis Hamilton had the name and Ferrari had also a name, even though Mercedes had a name, but in comparison. So it was like a commercial move that, okay, Hamilton is coming to Ferrari, there's a whole market to sell. This was his dream company and all that. So he's not really performing. And he is also, really underrating himself. After the match, he called himself useless. He's actually a huge critic of his own, art and all that. So people actually chase their dreams, should at least, chase their dreams, even if it's not going to be a good, for their records, or they should just stick to, what works for them instead of chasing their dreams.
I mean, if you don't do it, you'll never know. At least now he knows. That's good. The only, question is this how Lewis Hamilton's legacy? Is it on this note that we're going to leave his legacy? Because I mean, he's a big name. It's a big name. And then what does it mean for the Ferrari brand as well? If somebody like Lewis Hamilton ends up like this, who has done so well with Mercedes, and then switches to Ferrari, is it going to drop their their ratings, their stock? It's really a big question. So I feel like both brands should be concerned, both parties should be concerned. Maybe a lot of people are of the opinion that maybe he should have stuck with Mercedes, but this is not to discourage anybody from pursuing their dreams. Pursue your goals, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Then we know that, okay, now we cannot judge Lewis Hamilton based on this, because we know he's an excellent racer. So we know obviously that this is a problem. It might be big star, weak engineering.
True. But then, Mohammed, what do you think? Do you think the opinions, of a team can affect, a star athlete, now taking it into like general sport, not just, in the Formula One? Do you think if, for example, now in football now, whereby a player moves to a club that probably, the players don't like him, or, the fans do not like him, do you think this is possible, to affect his performance and stuff?
Yes, I think this is the collaboration between players. It's a very important thing. It's one of the factors that determines victory, and it determines, because it affects everybody. When you are in a place that you are not wanted, you will not get a better treatment, and I think you are not going to be at your full potential as long as you are not being motivated. For someone like Hamilton, I don't know where it all went wrong, from being at the limelight. I've been at the
top light,
being at the spotlight. You are the main character, for you to be at the back, at the shadow. Right? It actually pains him. That's why he has passion for the driving for F1. That's why he was having this. He was criticizing himself. He was insulting himself, because he knows he can do better than what have happened. But I hope to see him recover from this crisis he's having right now.
Now, hopefully we get to see, a comeback for Lewis Hamilton. His fans are watching, Ferrari fans are watching. We hope we see a massive comeback, from our champion, and we see progress. And if, eventually it does not work out with Ferrari, hopefully, he finds a better team, or he goes back to Mercedes, and performs properly. And, our last story for today, ahead of the World Cup qualifiers, we made a report that Mohammed was injured during a previous game, and it was speculated that he might be gone, indefinitely. But then he has made a huge comeback. Nobody say has it, and we are saying that he's going to boost the Super Eagles morale. Well, what do you think about that moment?
I think the 29 will have been a very important player in the Super Eagles team, and this should be a very very exciting news to every Nigerian that's interested, even if you're not interested in sports, because I think he's one of the he's one of the vital players we have, because he's a very good keeper. We've seen how he performed in competitions before. So I think we're happy and we wish him quick recovery. Let him recover very quickly to come and do what he does best.
But IG, on a good note that he's back and he's boosting the morale. But don't you think what do you think about the Nigerian Super Eagles having a strong backup player that can perform well in the case of accidents like this?
I think it's very, very, I mean, we talked about it some days ago. I think it's very important that, because it was sort of an over dependence on him, that when he wasn't around, everybody was, okay, what next? What do we do? So, yes, we need to have, whilst we have this player, because anything can happen. He might be playing in, imagine if he was in a major league, if he was playing in EPL, for example, right now, and he was not, it's not for some reason available to play in the for Super Eagles at that time. There's a clash in the schedules. It's a problem, and we'll now have to divided loyalty and all of that.
True.
So we need to actually, for eventualities, have backup, start training on time. It's good that we have him, but somebody else, at least two self, should be following him, learning, make sure that we have two strong backups that can hold. Of course, no two persons are alike, and somebody that is great is great.
True.
But yes, we need to have backup and we need to tighten our defense. That's really important.
Yeah, hopefully the Nigerian Super Eagles, the coach and the team, they'll consider this, and ahead of the World Cup qualifiers, we really want to be there. It's one of the most unifying sports and unifying events that happens, every 4 years in football history. So I think that's all we have on sports today.
All right, from governors reshuffling their cabinet, small banks swallowing larger ones, race cars and racing dramas, and all of the interesting stories we had on finance, on entertainment. Sorry, we've had a great run today. Thank you so much for your analysis, our two modes. Thank you for your analysis. It's been a great run. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.